The morning of December 4, 1926. A car sits abandoned on a grassy slope at Newlands Corner, near Guildford, in Surrey. A Morris Cowley. Its headlights still burning, faintly, into the cold dawn. Inside, a fur coat. A small case. Everything a woman might need on a winter night. But the woman is gone. There is no body. No note. No sign of a struggle. Nothing to say where she went, or why. The car belonged to the most famous mystery writer in the world. And for the next 11 days, she would become the very thing she wrote about. A disappearance with no solution. Her name was Agatha Christie. By 1926, she was already a sensation. That very year she had published The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, a novel so audacious it rewrote the rules of detective fiction. 6 years earlier, in her debut, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, she had introduced a fussy little Belgian detective named Hercule Poirot. He would become immortal. So would she. Agatha Christie would go on to become the best-selling novelist of all time, her books sold in the billions, translated into more languages than almost any author in history. She built her fame on solving the unsolvable. And now she had vanished into a mystery of her own. From the outside, the picture was complete. The Christies lived in a fine house called Styles, in Sunningdale, Berkshire. A celebrated wife. A war hero husband. A young daughter. But the picture was cracking. That spring, Agatha mother, the person she loved most in the world, had died, leaving her hollow with grief. And by that summer, her husband, Colonel Archibald Christie, made a confession. He was in love with another woman. Her name was Nancy Neele. He wanted a divorce. Grief on one side. Betrayal on the other. The woman who understood the human heart better than any novelist alive was being slowly torn apart by her own. The evening of December 3rd. Agatha and Archie quarreled. Then Archie left, to spend the weekend with his mistress at Godalming, in Surrey. The house fell silent. Around 9:45, Agatha climbed the stairs. She went into her daughter Rosalind's room, and kissed the sleeping child. Then she came back down. She got into her car. And she drove away, alone, into the December night. No one saw where she was going. No one knew her state of mind. Those quiet moments, a kiss good night, an engine starting, were the last confirmed sightings of Agatha Christie. For 11 days, she would simply cease to exist. When the abandoned car was found, the country reacted as if to a national emergency. What followed became one of the largest manhunts Britain had ever seen. More than 1,000 police officers were thrown into the search. Thousands of civilian volunteers joined them, sweeping in long lines across the Surrey countryside, beating through hedgerows and woodland for any trace of her. And then, something almost unimaginable for the year 1926. Aircraft took to the skies, scanning the landscape from above for a glimpse of a body, a coat, a sign. An entire nation was looking for one woman. And the nation was finding nothing at all. As days passed with no sign of life, the search turned grim. Investigators dredged a nearby lake, a still, dark stretch of water known by the eerie name of the Silent Pool. They were searching for a drowned woman. And a chilling thought took hold. What if life had imitated her fiction? What if the great inventor of murders had met the fate of one of her own doomed characters? Newlands Corner, where the car still stood, was searched again and again and again. Every slope, every thicket, every ditch. But the earth gave up nothing. No body rose from the silent pool. The mystery only deepened. The case drew in figures straight out of fiction. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes himself, became involved. But Doyle was a devoted spiritualist. So he took one of Christie's gloves to a medium, hoping to find her through the paranormal. The crime novelist Dorothy L. Sayers, who created Lord Peter Wimsey, came to Newland's Corner in person to study the scene for clues. And in the halls of power, the Home Secretary, William Joynson Hicks, personally pressured the police to deliver answers as the press frenzy spiraled out of control. The greatest minds in British crime, real and imagined, all hunting one woman. All baffled. The newspapers covered the story relentlessly, and the public craved a villain. Inevitably, suspicion fell on Archie Christie, the unfaithful husband, and his mistress, Nancy Neele. Some whispered that Archie had harmed his wife and disposed of her body, that the abandoned car was a cover for something far darker. Others took the opposite view. They suspected the whole disappearance was a cold-blooded publicity stunt, an elaborate trick to sell more books, a theory Christie would deny for the rest of her life. Murder, or marketing? Two theories, pulling in opposite directions. And both, as it turned out, were wrong. The truth was waiting almost 200 miles to the north. 11 days after she vanished, the mystery broke. Agatha Christie was found, alive and well, at the Swan Hydropathic Hotel in Harrogate, Yorkshire, a grand spa retreat known today as the Old Swan. She had been there the whole time. But she had not checked in as Agatha Christie. She had registered under a false name. Mrs. Tressa Neele, from Cape Town. And there it was, hiding in the signature. Neele. The exact surname of her husband mistress, Nancy Neele. Of all the names she could have chosen, while the nation searched for her body, she had taken the name of the woman who had broken her marriage. Here is the strangest part. For 11 days, Agatha Christie had not been hiding in a cellar or fleeing across borders. She had been living openly, in plain sight. She dined with the other guests. She joined them for music. She danced. A celebrity vanished, hunted by 1,000 police, while quietly enjoying a spa holiday in Yorkshire. Reportedly, hotel staff and guests recognized her face from the very newspapers screaming her name, before she was ever formally identified. When Archie finally traveled to Harrogate to confirm it was her, the reunion was uncanny. By some accounts, she greeted her own husband as if he were merely a passing acquaintance. So what had happened to her? 2 doctors examined Agatha Christie, and both reached the same conclusion. She had suffered a genuine loss of memory. Today, we would call it a psychogenic fugue, a rare state in which severe emotional shock can trigger a temporary amnesia, a kind of flight of the mind. The self, overwhelmed, simply slips its moorings. Her biographers would later point to the obvious source of that shock. A double trauma, striking in a single terrible year. The death of her beloved mother, and the betrayal of her husband. Grief and heartbreak, together, may have broken something loose. A mind that could no longer bear to be itself. And yet, the diagnosis settled nothing. Because Agatha Christie never publicly explained what happened during those 11 days. Not to the press. Not to the curious public who had hunted her across the country. When she wrote her autobiography, published only after her death, the disappearance is simply absent. 11 days erased from the record of her own life. 2 doctors had said amnesia. But amnesia is a verdict, not a witness. It cannot tell us what she felt, what she planned, or whether she planned anything at all. To this day, opinion remains divided over the true cause. She kept her secret completely, and she kept it forever. 100 years on, the theories still compete. Theory 1. A genuine fugue state, a real amnesia born of grief and betrayal, just as the doctors said. This is the view favored by several of her biographers. Theory 2. A deliberate, fully conscious flight. A woman in pain, vanishing on purpose, perhaps to shame or to punish the husband who had wronged her, even framing him for her death. Theory 3. A planned escape, simply for rest and recovery, under a quiet false identity. As for the old idea of a publicity stunt, that explanation is now widely doubted. 3 theories. 1 missing woman. And no way left to ask her. A century later, the case remains officially unexplained. And that emptiness, that unsolvable gap, has only fed the legend. The disappearance has inspired films, novels, and documentaries, each trying to fill the silence she left behind. December 2026 marks the 100th anniversary of the vanishing, and the fascination is stronger than ever. A new noir film, 11 Missing Days, starring Felicity Jones as Christie, has renewed global interest in the mystery. The woman who built her fame on tidy endings has given the world a story with no ending at all. We keep returning to those 11 days, because some part of us still hopes to solve them. Here is the final irony. The world's greatest writer of solvable mysteries left behind one that has never been solved. And the story did not break her. After her own disappearance, Agatha Christie went on to write some of the most famous works in all of literature, Murder on the Orient Express, and Then There Were None. Masterpieces of cause and clue and revelation. But the one case that mattered most, her own, she never closed. The only person who truly knew what happened in those 11 days never told a soul. If you love stories the past refuses to give up, subscribe to Embers of Time. Next, the lost city that vanished from every map.